We welcome in the coach, Iron Michael Chandler, my favorite part of the week. Talking to my man, Mike, what's happening?
Man, living the dream, man. Just another week, another awesome episode. Obviously, this one was a little bit different than the last 7, but it was great anyway.
I mean, you were so close to giving the people what they want, to almost a clean sweep of Team McGregor. Now, how are you taking the loss after this one?
Obviously, we're a couple months removed, but man, there were some tears shed by myself, Hunter, obviously, and our entire team. You saw it in the episode. Obviously, I'm sure we'll talk about it. My guys getting into it with Connor. We created a really real team bond. All of my dudes loved each other. They wanted to see each other win. So it was a tough one. It was tough to see Hunter, who I believe deserved to win. He did everything that was asked of him, but as you know, as I know, it's a crazy sport. We fight in 4-ounce gloves, and you get hit behind the ear, and bad things happen.
But, I mean, that fight was going perfectly. It was literally one round away from total domination for you. Did it ever occur to you that that might happen?
Man, not really. Obviously, we had some tougher fights throughout the season than Hunter's first round of that fight. I mean, he was completely in the driver's seat. He looked like Rico couldn't do anything on the ground. Rico hit him with some elbows, obviously cut him open. But when it comes to the domination on the ground, ring generalship, damage on the ground, Hunter was just honestly beating him up pretty bad. So there was no indication whatsoever that round 2 was going to be any different than round 1. But as we like to say in this sport, it really brings you back to the reality. Even with us being so used to the guys in red getting their hand raised, I thought we were about to do it again. But man, lo and behold, 4-ounce glove are very unforgiving, and Hunter went down. And my hat's off to him, and my hat's off to Rico for his performance and getting the job done.
Well, congratulations to Rico and Connor. He finally got that win. But we just got word that Conor McGregor is celebrating his only win. We have the footage of this, Mike. You got to see it.
Yeah! Boston courage, Boston strong.
The dude was running.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he got a little darker from what I remember. I want to see his car collection, though, because, that I don't know if that was the Lambo that I was used to seeing him in. I'd like to see his car collection.
It was similar. I'm pretty sure that was the same Lambo that we saw there in Vegas in the episode. And that was the same exact run with the screaming, yelling Boston strong and Boston courage. Obviously he's pumped up for his team. As I've said, I think as much as they tried to piece this thing up as if Connor didn't care that much, Connor was there. He wanted to see his guys win, whether it was because he wanted to get a win or it was because he was truly happy for Rico to get a win. It remains to be seen, and we'll never know, I guess. But, man, what a celebration. And then the dude tried to fight my entire team, so it was a lot of fun.
Well, I mean, he's a wild boy. We know that. But let's take a quick question from the fan. This one is from Sean Gregory02. They want to know if you think the concept of the prospects versus the veterans was wrong, or is there more to it?
Man, it's a great question, and I'm glad you bring that up, because obviously here we are sitting at 7-1. The veterans absolutely dominated. But what I like to say is, at the very beginning of the show, I can tell you that all of my guys, even if they said they knew they wanted to get back to the UFC, there was still an inkling of doubt in every single one of them. Cody Gibson is a high school PE teacher. Kurt Hollabaugh has opened 2 BJJ gyms. You saw Austin Hubbard works for his father-in-law at a home restoration company. These guys have been in and out of smaller organizations, maybe getting themselves back to the UFC, but half of my team had full-time jobs, and it looked as though maybe the UFC dream had passed. So yes, now we can sit here and say, hey, 7-1, of course the veterans with their veteran experience were going to dominate these newbies, these rookies, these youngins, these prospects. And we like to put labels on people, but half of those prospects were seasoned veterans. They just hadn't been in the UFC yet. Every single one of them great. Every single one of them have talent to be inside of the UFC. But here we are, 7-1, almost got the clean sweep. But I do think it was a good, I guess, show theme, if you will, because some of these prospects could have came in and won, and some of these veterans could have very well believed that they weren't going to beat one of these young, hungry prospects. But lo and behold, Team Chandler 7-1.
I'll tell you what, that is remarkable. 7 of your 8 guys made it to the semifinals. But how hard was it choosing the best amongst your guys who won all their fights to choose them moving forward?
Man, that's actually a good question, too, because if you see in there, and I actually just got a clip of some bonus footage, and I actually just did my Tough reaction show and kind of gave the fans an insight to, hey, am I actually going to be truthful here, or am I going to lie to Dana? Because Dana's trying to figure out, hey, who's the best matchup here, or who's going to be the best fight here? Who's your most talented guys? And I wasn't quite sure what answer to give him because I didn't know. I knew what matchups we probably wanted. But do you lie to Dana so that you get the actual matchup that you truly wanted? So it was an interesting meeting between Connor, myself, Dana, a little bit of gamesmanship there. I think Connor said that Timur was the weakest guy on our team, which I thought that Timur was one of the best guys on our team. Maybe there was some gamesmanship there. Who knows? But it was tough. But obviously we know Austin Hubbard and Roosevelt Roberts, 2 of the most talented guys on my team, fight next week. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and that could very easily be your final. And I think that's what I said there on the show. But obviously Dana put the fights together, and here we are.
But this episode also hinted at the possibility that some of your guys may have to switch teams. Now, like you said, Roosevelt and Austin, they are fighting next week. They stayed on your team. But without giving away too much, I don't know which you can tell us about them switching teams. Was that something that was going around, or what's the deal, Mike? Give me some insight.
I'll tell you what, man, it was a thing. It was a full-on thing. I'll tell you that. Hey, just like those guys woke up that one morning or came back from practice and they saw those names on the board, some guys who were supposed to be in red were now in blue, and obviously you heard, I forget who said it, but they said, hey, man, Jason Knight said, hey, I'll just leave this place right now if they want me to switch teams. That's the kind of team camaraderie and the team bond that we had. My dudes started on Team Chandler, wanted to stay on Team Chandler. So it gets a little dicey this weekend, or this week. I think we're going to kind of dive more into, does Dana force these guys to go to a different team? And can I save guys from going on another team? Can I convince these guys to stay on Team Chandler? We built this bond. I believe that I was going to be able to coach them into the best performance on fight night. But it's a reality show. It's television. It's ESPN. Some things are out of our control. I'm calling the executive producer. I'm calling Dana. I'm texting Dana. I'm like, hey, what's going on here? You guys need to tell me what's going on. So it gets a little dicey and a little, I guess the next episode is a little high-strung too, to say the least. So either way, it happened how it happened, but the fans at home here on ESPN get to be the beneficiaries of it because it was a great episode and great turn of events.
How many times did somebody from the other team ask to be on your team during the season?
Man, well, unfortunately, obviously, the guys weren't going to break their loyalty to Team McGregor by even talking to me. But later on, after some of these guys got eliminated and they know we're no longer a threat on the other team, there was definitely some guys who were getting a little closer to me and asking me questions. Just as a veteran, as a guy who's been at the top of the sport for a very long time, I try to be personal. Yeah. These guys are wearing blue and they got McGregor on their back, but they're still just dudes chasing a dream. And I was there to serve everybody, obviously my team first and foremost, but everybody as well. And they definitely wanted to jump in a couple Team Chandler training sessions just to spend some time with me, spend some time with my guys, because like I said, they were no longer a threat. And it gets lonely and boring out there in Vegas for 4 weeks. These guys are stuck in a house, straight to training, stuck in a house, straight to training. So I think a switch up would have been a nice thing for them. But, I made some my guys on my team were friends for life. They are my dudes for life. And obviously I made some friends on the other team as well. I've been talking to them as well online or via text message because ultimately these guys were just chasing a dream, even if they were on the other team.
Well, you guys almost went undefeated, but I'm going to tell you who is undefeated, and that is the internet. So before we go, let's look at the internet here. You put this out today, huh?
I did. Hey, the internet remains undefeated, and Connor can no longer be defeated if he keeps running. We're trying to figure out when this dude's coming back. I got my TV on right here, Netflix, McGregor forever. He's calling it the greatest comeback or greatest comeback in combat sports history. but he can't have the greatest comeback in combat sports history if he doesn't actually come back. Is he duping everybody? Is he duping me? Is he duping you that he just did this thing for publicity? Is he coming back? We don't know. We're still waiting, and I'm still waiting because I'm ready to fight this dude and separate him from consciousness within the first 2 rounds on a very, very big fight night, and that's my prediction.
Well, Mike, once again, like I said, this is the highlight of my week. I appreciate you coming on. The season is heating up. I can't wait till next week, man. I can't wait to talk to you again next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dean. I appreciate you. See you at the top.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.